Ayo. Hope y'all are having a good night. Oh, March is almost over and April is upon us. That said, I'm pretty sure the spring equinox happened a bit earlier, didn't it? Let's see. Oh my gosh, yeah, it was earlier this week. For those who don't know, the equinox is basically where the day, or you have equal amounts of daylight and nighttime. It's supposed to signal, like, well, I mean, how do I put it? Not equinox, the winter solstice was way back in December, so there's just been generally more and more sunlight coming in. Hell, like, daylight savings ended last week. I'm still feeling the effects, to be honest. My sleep schedule is absolutely messed up, but that's okay. We're getting more sunlight, getting more vitamin D, and vitamin D helps improve, like, a whole bunch of different things, especially in terms of, like, mood and stuff. So be sure you go out there, touch grass, have a good time. What else? Speaking of a good time, we're going to be doing a short stream on poetry analysis for today. This is a bit of a niche topic, but I'm hoping I can develop it because I know, well, for one, it's something I'm passionate about. I'm mostly into reading older style poems. I'm talking about like Byron, Richard Frost. Although I do remember reading through, what's her name? She was like poet laureates. She was one of England's poet laureates. She did like Grammar of Light. I just can't remember the name off the top of my head right now. Hold on. Caroline Duffy, that's it. Oh my gosh. Anyways. Yeah. The thing about poetry, though, is that, like, you can squeeze in so many layers of information into so few words. Like, it isn't random. There's a certain art that comes to it. And for, how I put it, having worked in, like, student news reporting for a little while, I can't help but admire how you're able to communicate so much with so little, and in such a way that, how I put it, you can find new things which with each read through or as you gain more and more experience. So let me show you what that looks like. Let's see. Drawing. Yeah, there we go. So today's poem is going to be covering Robert Frost and his poem, The Road Not Taken. I am fairly sure that this should be in public domain, but let me just double check. Honestly, I probably should have done that beforehand, but that's okay. I'm pretty sure I'm covered by fair use anyway, because I'm using this for an educational context. Yeah. So Robert Frost passed away in 1963, meaning that this should be okay in Canada. Oh my gosh. It's at times like this I wish I had taken a closer look at Canadian law, especially copyright law. I'm still kind of mad that they, like, updated the guidelines so that copyright now extends for like 70 years basically after the death of the author. And it's like, I can understand why it's useful for these states, but it's just like, when you're dead, you don't carry your money with you. It's not like you get royalties just sent up to wherever you are in the afterlife. Unless that's actually how the afterlife works. I'm not really sure at that point, and I don't think anyone knows. But, I know, I'm always a fan of, like, having works out there so that people can enjoy. There is a prolific YouTube or a composer out there hope I have the right one. Yeah, Kevin MacLeod. Oh my gosh. Kevin MacLeod is basically like, he basically wrote so much music and provided it like royalty free onto the internet. And it was used in so many like compilations, especially for like gameplay and stuff like that. Like the early YouTube scene would have been very different without the sound of the stuff that Kevin MacLeod made. I wonder if I can find it. Yeah, this dude's been making so much music. I wonder how... I swear it goes further back than 2011, though. Who knows? Music is free but must be credited. Which makes sense. Oh my gosh. I want to do a deeper dive into his stuff later, like... It's very rare to see people who would just give out information like that, give out music that, how do I put it, can really lower the barriers to content creation. But anyways, getting a little bit sidetracked. Gonna mute the music because it's gonna take me a while to like go through all of this. So when you look at a poem like this, it can be a little bit intimidating, especially if you're under time constraints. It is not too long of a poem. This is like intermediate. You have your title, you have the author, then 4 stanzas, 5 lines each. But the hardest part about poetry is just sort of trying to figure out what is this guy talking about. And I'll read through it and then show you a method that's pretty common about how to go about dissecting stuff like this. So let's get to it. Road Not Taken by Robert Frost. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry, I could not travel both. And be one traveler, long I stood and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other as just as fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear. Though, as for that passing there, had worn them really about the same. And both that morning equally lay, in leaves no steps had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, 2 roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. Yeah, this dude was like early or mid 1900s? Early 1900s? Yeah. He has seen some stuff though. Like, imagine living through like 2 world wars. But I digress. So what is that guy talking about? Straight up. Something about roads, taking a path. Sure. But what does that all mean? Like, how could he write an essay or a theme on this? Like, what is this trying to say about the world? So, one way to analyze a poem is a method called TPCast. I know I can talk about this because you can't copyright recipes or shorthand guides like this. It's not like, how do you put it? When you're discussing techniques like this, it's not like you're giving away a manual or something like that. So I'm pretty sure ideas like this are available for people to talk about, especially in educational context. Anyways, so TPCast is a pretty common method that you'd see, especially around like junior high or high school level, but there's a reason why they teach it around there. And that's mostly because, like, it's a really easy and accessible method to use, and there aren't that many steps to it too. There's just like, what, 7? Take that, math. So, first off, the first T. Talk about the title. Easy enough. The road not taken. What is the... We can look at it, like, literally. Like, you could literally be talking about a road that's not been taken. Another way to look at it is to say that's, like, a branch in life. Like, metaphorically speaking. Or a metaphor for life. I think that's about it. You could, of course, look at it from other perspectives too, like, societally speaking. So looking at a whole community. So social paths of a community. I was saying I should probably be typing this instead, but that's okay. Yeah, I think that's all I can think of at the moment. So we'll move on to the next one. So the next part is P for paraphrase. What they mean by paraphrase is to shorten it down. Concise explanation. About the plot. So, like, the literal events that are happening in the story. So, one way to do it is to... You could try to look at it stanza by stanza and see what's going on. So, like, for... Let me color code this, actually. Weird thing about writing on a white background... Ideally, you want colors with a lot of contrast, so definitely not yellow. Otherwise, it'll stick out like a sore thumb like that. Like, oh my gosh, I can't even see. I know, yellow's a weird color too, because it's like technically in between like red and like green, but it sticks out so much compared to other colors. Like, look at orange, right? It's so weird. Oh, anyways. So we'll do it according to where they are on the color wheel. So red, because that's first. And I guess has a lower wavelength. Sure, let's go with that. 2 roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And B1 traveler. A long guy stood to where... Or... Long guy stood and looked down as far as I could go, to where it bent in the undergrowth. So let's look at that. So this person's basically just saying, like, look to paths. Very long. Can't decide. Yeah. So we have 2 roads here. Oh, and we can't travel both. Can't do both. And I being one travel, long I stood, showing off hesitation, and looked down one as far as I could to where it bent in the undergrowth. So in other words, it's hard for this person to see after a certain while. Like, the way becomes obscured by how many plants there are and stuff like that. Next up, we have... Let's go orange, yeah. Then took the other just as fair and perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted wear, though as for that passing there, had really warned them about the same. So he's looking at the other path. It's looking very similar to this one over here, but this person suggests it might have the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. In other words, it seemed other path is similar, but seemed more interesting. Oh no. Interesting. Because it was worn down. Or rather, not worn down, but it looked like it had been a while since anyone had been there. That's what it means by wanted wear. Like, this person, it's sort of like when you explore a new area, or like get introduced to a new area and just straight want to explore it. Like that one moment in Elden Ring when you come out of like the tutorial area and look out on the landscape, and it's like, wow, I could go there. Like, look at that castle, I want to go there. And then Vari just shows up and calls you maidenless. Yeah, fun times with Elden Ring. Hope I can play that, but it's a bit of a time sink, so maybe once the DLC comes out. Yeah. Anyways. And both that morning equally lay in leaves no step had trodden black. I'm gonna skip yellow and ghost to green. We're gonna do vibrant green. Yeah. Oh, I kept the first for another day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. Alright. So the other path... Wait, and both that morning equally in leaves no step had drawn black. This just means been a while since anyone's been here. So no one or none here for a while. Oh, I kept the first for another day. So it's sort of like exasperation that this person wanted to go back and like try it another day. But they couldn't because of this one over here, how way leads on to way. In other words, when you pick that path, you're pretty much stuck on that path because of how it diverges on into other interesting paths. So by the time that you're already down this path, you're already like consumed by it and don't really have the opportunity to go back. So this last line over here is very striking. Also, this line's interesting here too, because it's the only one with an exclamation mark, but I'll come back to that later. So, let's keep going. Can change my color one more time because we're in the last paragraph. Let's go. Yeah, blue. I shall be telling this with a sigh, Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. So telling this with a sigh, ages and ages hence. That's sort of like knows in the future, because this is I shall be. This is future tense. And not just the immediate future, but this is like the far future, because it's talking about like ages and ages. I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. It's like altogether, I'm pretty sure this person's feeling down about their choice, about whether or not they should have picked the other path. But in the end, they picked the one that was less traveled by. Oops, wild road. All the difference. So that's about it for paraphrasing. It's basically just looking at the story, trying to summarize it in your own way, so that you understand what the events are, how things progress, which can in turn give you further ideas about like how I put it, about the literary devices that were used here and why they were used. Because in order to tell your story, you need to strengthen it, right? Like use strong imagery, or like phrase things in a certain way to emphasize it, whether it's in the beginning of the sentence or the last one. Anyways, so the next concept is our first C. For this, we're talking about, oh, let me write this in black. So C is your connotation. I hope I'm doing this right. Yeah, I'm doing this right. Okay, good. So with connotation, I'm talking about stuff like word choice. I'm talking about literary devices like simile. Is there an I? Hold on. No, okay, good. Oh my gosh. It's like smile, but not quite. Yeah. Simile, metaphor. Especially personification. What else? Diction, or no, word choice is diction. Grammar? Yeah. Because all of these factors together basically conjure up certain images or emotions. So like, in psychology, you tend to remember things at the beginning. So that's like the Primus effect or something like that. So you remember like the first few words of a sentence, and then there's a drop in memory retention, and then it rises again once you hit the very last part of your sentence. You remember the last part due to the recency effect. I don't know how to describe it. Yeah, the recency effect is just the brain's tendency to remember things that are found at the end of, like, a sentence or something like that. So that means things in the middle kind of get jumbled up. You don't really recall them that much. So, like, words at the beginning tend to set a scene, and then words at the end tend. If you put something towards the end, it's more like trying to emphasize that image in your mind. Anyways, so let's go over some things then. In terms of word choice, like your diction that you see in this. Oh, shoot. The diction is like old school, as in like this feels like something like a person from the 1800s or like 1900s would sound like. It's very formal in a way, but not too formal. Alright, are there any similes or metaphors? This whole poem could be a metaphor for something. There is a little bit of exaggeration over here. But yeah, don't really have any similes or metaphors. Any signs of personification? Wanted where? This makes it seem like the path is alive. Like it's inviting the speaker. That has its own desires it would like to fulfill. Oh boy, I'm a little bit tired. I'll try to get through this fast and probably end. So, after connotation, or no, we can keep going with this. So, we could also look at anything that might represent something else. So what I'm drawn to is like yellow over here. Yellow is sort of like happiness, bright, something like that. You could also check rhymes too. The way I was taught, when you rhyme two lines together, it usually, how do you put it, means that they're related in a certain way. It's like, you have would here, you have stood and could. So if we look at those lines in particular, 2 roads diverged in yellow wood, and be one traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could. Yeah, so that's mostly expository stuff. And you'll notice that this rhyme scheme, it repeats in the other stanzas. So it's like A, B, A. Sorry, where was I? A, B, A, and B. That means these 2 lines are related, not traveled both to where it bent. Oh, okay. Yeah, good. These 2 lines are definitely connected with each other. Let me explain. it's sort of like saying that the reason why this person couldn't travel through both is due to the ambiguity of the undergrowth over here. Let's see if that pattern also shows up here. So A, B, A, B. Better claim had warrant. Oh. Okay, yeah, same thing. This person thought that one path had the better claim, but really he mistook it, and or this person mistook it and found that it was really worn down about the same. So it didn't really seem like that there was that big of a noticeable difference. Okay. Let's keep going. A, B, A, B. Black. Oh, there's a new color over here. Nice. Okay. I'll mark that down. I didn't notice this on my first time around. But yeah, this is a very interesting thing. Like black normally represents stuff like death, danger, mortality. Could also represent stuff like calmness too. I know, I'm kind of reminded of Dark Souls right now in that there's a few different ways that darkness is viewed. One is that darkness or humanity is sort of like a curse that, how do I put it, that while it can provide great power, it can also corrupt quite a bit. But in other Dark Souls games, especially, yeah, I'm pretty sure the third one mostly covers it. It's sort of interpreted as like a place or a way to placate other things too that are raging around the world, especially with like chaos or like too much light being in the world. At the end of the day, like darkness, light, it doesn't really matter which type you use. They can be used for either good or evil. Like, but it's not inherently evil. Yeah. Oh man, I have so much I can talk about with like Shadowbringers and stuff like that, but that's okay. If I ever play Final Fantasy on stream, like, I wouldn't mind doing a playthrough of like Endwalker and Shadowbringers. Also can't wait for it's called Dawn Trail to come out. And finally go and be like, how do I put it? I saw a little bit of Road to El Dorado, the one that Disney made. And hearing the story behind that, it's just like, man, I feel bad for the director of that movie. I just really wanted to make Treasure Planet at the end of the day. But anyways. Let's keep going. So, in this sentence over here, we have black rhyming with ever come back. So this person's feeling pretty like possible negative emotions. Negative emotions. I shall be telling this with a sigh somewhere ages and ages hence. Two roads diverging with, and I took the one less traveled by. And that's made all the difference. Hence difference. Oh yeah, so this reinforces that idea of, how about consequentiality? Consequences. This person had to choose, or at least felt compelled to choose. I mean, he could have just literally camped out at the path and just like chilled out over there. This person did need to, how put it, have an existential crisis about this whole thing, but I know, this is poetry, right? Anyways. So no simile, no metaphor, no personifications. I will say, like, ending it off with undergrowth here has a lot of, like, implications. For one, undergrowth, it's natural. Oh, shoot. Oh, no. Oh, no. Stop. Oh, why'd you do that? Why are you doing that? There. Yeah, there we go. It's natural. And it's also doing something to prevent the person from seeing beyond that. In other words, there's a lot of ambiguity. Let's see. Yeah, in the context of the sentence here for line 2, it's sort of saying that no other people have been here in a while. So this person literally has no references and has to decide. But this person really wanted to know what was in the other path, as seen in this line over here with the exclamation. Let's see. I think that's about it. We can move on to the next one. A for attitude. I hope I did that right. Double. First T is doubled, second T isn't, right? Yeah, okay, good. I swear with English spelling, it feels like I'm about to lose my sanity and stuff. Anyways, attitude. This is like how the speaker feels. Feels. Okay. So looking at this, we can try to find where the writer's inner thoughts are. So we have a clear exit envelope here, another one here, these lines over there, these two, and this. And sorry, long I stood. This stanza really emphasizes that, like, regrets or uncertainty. How do I know? You only really apologize like this when you realize you sort of messed up. And it's reinforced by this idea of long I stood. In other words, this person is rolling through the different scenarios in their mind. But it's hard to come up with an answer just through self-reflection. And one traveler. So it must feel pretty lonely. No one there to advise or anything like that. Can't even communicate with another person if what they saw on their side. Anyways. And took the other just as fair and perhaps having the better claim because it was grassy and wanted wear. Let's see. This one's a little bit more solid. It's more like trying to justify the next actions, but this person can't because they're too similar. And both at morn equally late and leaves no step had trodden black. Oh, how I kept the first for another day. This line over here is definitely regret. And this one's sort of like a realization. Was I writing there? Regrets, that's it. Realization. Alright, next up. I shall be telling this with a sigh. This line strongly emphasizes regret. I just don't know if it's isolated to this line over here or if it goes on for the entire stanza. Because if you remove this line, right? Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in wood, and I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. It doesn't say what. It doesn't say what that different was though. Like if it was good or bad. Only that single choice had a butterfly effect and changed everything. Alright. So based off the connotations, the next letter is, let's see. Oh my gosh, I should probably get some sleep. Attitude shifts. So a shift would be change in tone, tension, plot, etc. So in terms of changes in tone, this person is feeling nervous over here, a bit more uncertain in here. Still uncertain, but eventually I think it's around here that this person comes to terms with that, yeah, we're gonna need to do this. This is happening. And even though I can't come back, I'm gonna, try to do my best on the current paths, to stay immersed in them. So that's a shift. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, there's another shift over there. I think that's about it. Almost done with this. So after finding shifts, we go back to the title. So way back, there are three main approaches that we looked at. This one feels more personal though. The reason why I say that is because it uses I a lot. I. So rather than social story, this is just looking at one thing. Anyways, title. Pretty sure this is a metaphor. For what though? For life. Okay. So it's not meant to be taken purely literally. It's talking about like a missed opportunity. Like this dude literally cannot stop thinking about, man, what if I touch grass on the other side? Alright, let's wrap it up. The last one is themes. So with the themes, it's all about finding out what the main reason behind this poem was, or like what it's trying to say. The more information that you have about the poet, sometimes it can help, but you don't want to like overdo it. So the message, based on the evidence we've gathered, one way to look at it is, how do I put it? Uncertainty for sure. Can do it like that. Another thing to look at too is with butterfly effect. I only like recently found out the origins of that statement. Apparently there was like a climate scientist who was trying to work on like his model. So this guy decided to run 2 tests, or like a few tests, and he found that very slight differences, like when he inputted them, his data would result in wildly different calculations. So those little differences do matter. Anyways, uncertainty, butterfly effect, but also like growing up. Oops. Because like there's certain points in life where, oh shoot, where you essentially reach the point of no return, wherein either your innocence has been taken from you, or how do you put it, that you're moving away from a certain place, so you can't really do much. Instead, you just have to keep moving forward. Yep. Yeah, so that's how TPcast works. I don't think I can go through anything else right now because I notice I'm pretty much running on fumes right now, but that's okay. Yeah, I guess for next time we'll try going through another poem, but let me just review to you the steps one more time. So over here, title, paraphrase, like shorten it down, put into your own words. Connotation. Oops. Connotation. In other words, you need to deliberately look at each of the words, look at the grammar of it, see what it's trying to emphasize, or what images is it trying to evoke. A is for attitude of the speaker. S is for shifts. T is for title again. And then the last T is for themes. Yep. So I think I'll end it there. Hopefully that's useful for somebody. I know poetry can be a rough unit. It's sort of like you either get it or you don't. That's okay. Sometimes it takes a while for this stuff to sink in, so if you don't get it, just take a step back, work on something else, and then come back to it later, basically. I think that's about it. I believe tomorrow is scheduled for control, and then Sunday should be music composition as usual. I really hope I can get that, like finally finish off my ending BGM. I also would like to tune up my regular speaking BGM because I notice it's a little lackluster. I think I can put some more feeling into it. I made that theme on MuseScore too, so I'm excited to see how I can improve it in FL Studio. Alright, so that's about it for tonight. See ya.